In today's video, we will talk about juries in criminal trials. Hello, and welcome to Ask Professor Price. I have been a lawyer for more than 35 years and a full-time professor for more than 10 years. People studying law or criminal justice, or working in the legal or law enforcement fields, need to know how juries in criminal trials get selected, what they do during a trial, and how they reach a verdict. So let's jump right into juries in criminal trials. Trial juries are also called petit juries or small juries, as opposed to grand juries. If you want to know about grand juries, you can watch our video on what are grand juries. By the way, even though I've been a lawyer for more than 35 years, I have rarely ever heard of a trial jury being referred to as a petit jury. So you don't need to remember them by that in practice. A right to trial by jury is not universal in all criminal cases. In other words, just because someone is charged with a crime and it's going to trial, it doesn't mean that they will get a jury trial. A trial by a judge without a jury is called a bench trial. Generally, juvenile offenders and adults charged with offenses for which they face the possibility of less than 6 months of jail time have no right to a trial by jury. They receive bench trials. But that's not the case in every state. Some state constitutions provide a right to a trial jury for anyone facing criminal charges. How many people serve on a jury? That actually varies. General public tends to think that there are always 12 people on a jury, but that's not the case. There is no requirement in the Constitution for juries to have 12 people. A 6-person jury can be acceptable if the case does not involve the possibility of capital punishment. Cases that involve the possibility of capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, are called capital cases. Juries of fewer than 6 people on whatever kind of case it is in criminal court are not allowed. So you must, even on cases involving less serious charges, you must always have at least 6 people on the jury. There's quite a bit of variation on the number of people who must serve on a jury based on what state you live in. 45 states require 12-member juries in all felony cases. 19 states require 12-member juries in misdemeanor cases. Now, we just said that 45 states require 12-member juries in all felony cases. 5 states, which would take us up to the total of 50, allow juries with fewer than 10 members in select felony cases. And 31 states allow juries with fewer than 12 members in select misdemeanor cases. Traditionally, the verdict of a jury must be unanimous, but that's also not always the case. Federal criminal trial verdicts must be unanimous. In general, a verdict of a jury on a state crime must be unanimous, but there are many exceptions in several different states. In state courts, verdicts of 9-3 and 10-2 have been upheld. Whether you've served on a jury or not, you might not know how jury pools get selected. The court system starts with readily available existing lists of people. For example, the voter registration lists. Those are readily available, but they tend to not contain as many people who are young, who are minorities, who are poor, or who are less educated. And a lot of people never in their lifetime register to vote. They think that will keep them from having to do jury duty. But depending on how your state selects the jury pool, that might or might not be successful, because in some states they also supplement the voter registration lists with things like telephone directories, utility company records, and driver's license lists. So then the court summons potential jurors. This is done by random selection from a master list. So the local court will compile a master list. And then they go through it and cross people off if they're not eligible to serve on a jury. There are many reasons why a person might not be eligible. Once they eliminate the people who are obvious that they can't serve on a jury, then the court will send summons to potential jurors, not for a particular case, just for jury duty for a particular day or week. Years ago, when I lived in Missouri, I received a jury duty summons. I called the phone number on the notice and I told them my name and I said, and my Missouri bar number is, and I rattled off the 5-digit number. And the person on the other end of the phone laughed and said, "Okay, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to show up." Because at that time in Missouri, lawyers were not allowed to serve on juries. There was the fear that the jury would be swayed too much by anyone on the jury who happened to be a lawyer. But I know of people who have been judges who have done jury duty. So it depends on your state and the reasons that they might prohibit certain people from serving on a jury. Please hit subscribe and the thumbs up icon if you enjoy this video. Also, please feel free to share this video with people you think could benefit from the information. YouTube uses information like the number of subscribers, likes, and shares in its algorithm to determine which videos show up in search results. The higher these videos are in the results, the more people I can help. Thank you. Many of the people who receive a jury summons for a particular day show up at the courthouse and get directed to the jury assembly room. They check in and they sit and they wait and they wait and they wait. And they might not get called to a particular courtroom all day or all week. But if they do, they will get sent to a courtroom as a group, and they will undergo what is called jury selection, also known as voir dire. It's a process of selecting a jury for a specific case from the people who came to court in response to a jury summons. At least that's what they call it. They call it selecting a jury, but it's really more accurate to say that voir dire is the process in which the lawyers unselect the jury, or they choose who will not serve on the jury for a specific case. If a potential juror gets excused from serving on the jury on a specific case, they're usually sent back to the jury assembly room and wait until they get called to go to another courtroom for a different case. They might be excused from serving on a particular case if, let's say it's a murder trial, and in either the written questions or the oral questions that the lawyers are asking the potential jurors, one of the questions might be, has a close friend or family member of yours ever been the victim of a murder? If they say yes, most likely one of the lawyers is going to say thank you for your time and you're excused, because they might feel that the person would have a hard time being unbiased based on their personal tragedy. They might have, in other situations, they might have too close a connection to the prosecutor or the judge or the defense lawyer or the defendant. They might actually have been a witness to the crime in question, in which case they cannot serve on the jury. Lawyers get two kinds of challenges to potential jury candidates during voir dire. After asking questions and reading the questionnaires, the paper questionnaires that the jury candidates fill out, a lawyer might challenge for cause. A challenge for cause is a lawyer can excuse an unlimited number of potential jurors for cause. An example of this would be if it's a death penalty case and one of the questions might be, are you opposed to the death penalty? Would you ever be able to find someone guilty of murder if you knew that they could face a death sentence? The lawyers could excuse as many people as they need to for cause based on their answers to those questions. Also, each lawyer gets a certain number of potential jurors that they can excuse without having to identify a reason. These are called peremptory challenges. So there's challenge for cause and there are peremptory challenges. Once they have enough jury candidates, including alternate jurors, remaining who have not been excused, they stop the voir dire. They send any remaining jury candidates who have not been selected back to the jury assembly room, and the judge will impanel the jury at that point. Please feel free to post in the comments your questions about criminal law or related topics that you would like to see covered in a future video. I cannot provide legal advice about specific cases or situations, but I can offer general legal information for educational purposes. Law students, paralegal students, criminal justice students, and pre-law students, as well as people working as paralegals or in the criminal justice field, are the main audience for these videos, but everyone is welcome to learn about American law and our legal system. Please remember to subscribe so you can get notifications when I post a new video. Subscribing won't cost you anything, but it can help me reach and help more people with these educational videos. Thank you. If you liked this video, you might like the next video called Criminal Evidence and the Burden of Proof.